Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Converting the Top 5 E-Commerce Trends into Revenue. I'm Adam Blair, Executive Editor of Retail Touchpoints, and I'll be moderating today's presentation. E-commerce is constantly evolving, so retailers who are able to tap into the latest trends have the opportunity to build brand recognition, increase customer loyalty, and boost their sales. In today's webinar, we'll hear about how to take immediate advantage of the most relevant e-commerce trends, including how to build a trust funnel, why gratification, instant or otherwise, is so important, how to construct an experience-driven site, and the paramount importance of mobile. We'll also hear some real-world success stories about brands that are ahead of the game. This webinar event is part of the Retail Touchpoints 2018 Retail Strategy and Planning Series. During this series, attendees have the opportunity to hear from leading industry experts who are discussing the most important topics on retailers' minds today. By registering for one session, attendees will have access to all complimentary presentations live and on demand. We also welcome you to follow this and all the other webinars on the series using the hashtag RSP18. On this slide, you'll also find the Twitter handles for Retail Touchpoints and today's speaker. Those of you who may be new to Retail Touchpoints, here's a quick overview. We're an all-digital media company publishing free weekly email online newsletters, daily news, special reports, and multimedia presentations. We also host the annual Retail Innovation Conference in New York, which will be held May 6th through 8th, 2019. It's going to be a great event. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. We welcome input and feedback through traditional means, phone and email, and social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Our website is www.retailtouchpoints.com. We're also hosting a special sweepstakes throughout this week-long series where attendees can win a free ticket to our annual Retail Innovation Conference and Starbucks gift cards. If you register for an RSP18 webinar, you'll automatically be entered for a chance to win. And if you attend any session live, you'll receive a second entry. We'll be giving away one Starbucks gift card per session, one RIC free pass per day, so be sure to attend all this week's RSP18 sessions for your best chance to win. Today we're going to be using the On24 platform. Right now you should be viewing the On24 dashboard, which shows the live viewing screen. By clicking on the Questions widget on the right-hand side of the screen, you can type in questions during the live presentation and press Submit. You can also find a widget named Resources under Questions. Here you can download assets our presenters have provided. All you have to do is click on the resource and it will automatically download. If you're not able to attend one or more of the sessions, they are all available free to all registrants. You can access them on demand at your convenience. To learn more, go to the Retail Touchpoints website. The link is displayed on this slide. I want to remind our audience that the presentation is slated for approximately 30 minutes, with time for live questions at the end. We invite you to submit your questions in the On24 questions area as they come to mind. Our presenter has agreed to stay online following the presentation to respond to your questions. I also want to point out a few other housekeeping items for today's attendees. The webinar is being recorded, and all attendees will receive an archive link to the presentation to go back and review or share with colleagues. In addition, the slides will be posted to SlideShare. Now I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker. Tracy Wallace is the Editor-in-Chief at BigCommerce, where she covers all things e-commerce, marketing, design, development, strategy, plus emerging trends, including omnichannel and cloud replatforming. She's often featured in publications such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, Mashable, and Elle, along with leading BigCommerce partners like HubSpot and Square. She launched a career in e-commerce with Y Combinator-backed ShopTeeks. Welcome, Tracy.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to walk through everything with everyone. So, as you heard in the fantastic introduction here just a moment ago, today we're going to be talking through 5 e-commerce trends that you can implement right now, whether you're looking to do that right now before the holiday season to capture more sales during the holiday season, or if you want to implement a lot of these strategies now to really begin seeing a lot of the payoff in early 2019. The strategies that we'll walk you through are what a lot of the DNVBs in the industry are using. hate to introduce a new acronym to people kind of off the cuff. The DNVB stands for Digitally Native Vertical Brand, and it is the Caspers of the world, the Warby Parkers of the world. Likely a lot of you have a favorite brand that is a DNVB. They're known in the industry for being a little bit, or well, let's be honest, a lot more agile than some of the more legacy retailers are, but that doesn't mean that you can't take a lot of the strategies that they are using and implement them for yourself. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. Cool. So let's just all come together here on a couple stats. I only have one actually shown on here, but consumer expectations are shifting. That is a present tense sentence there. But really they have shifted. That has already occurred. Consumers today shop across a wide variety of channels. You know this already. This isn't news to anybody. But in a lot of the surveys and data that BigCommerce has, I mean, people are price comparing. They're going to Amazon. From Amazon, they'll go to a brand's webpage, and then maybe they'll go back and buy on Amazon, or maybe they'll buy on that webpage, or maybe if there's a brick and mortar store, they'll go there, or maybe they'll see an ad on Facebook a few days later and remember that they wanted that and purchase from there. Or maybe they're going to price compare anyway and say, actually a competitor has something cheaper and I'm going to go there. That is more of a common consumer journey these days, and it's really, really hard to build out a funnel that attracts people in a way that is easily trackable. So that is definitely a massive issue for brands of all sizes, whether you're a DNVB, whether you're a legacy retailer, whether you're a B2B, no matter who you are, that is the consumer mindset these days. What that ultimately means as well is that content and commerce are inextricably linked. I say that because as people hang out on social channels, as they talk to their friends, as they watch their Netflix shows, wherever they are, content is the basis of our modern lives. Whether you're reading a really small content piece on Twitter, or a longer post on Facebook, or even longer blog article on or article on the New York Times, wherever you are, content is what is ultimately grabbing your attention. It's also really important here, and we'll talk about this in just a little bit, in a little bit more detail, to understand that millennials and Gen Z, so Gen Z is the generation right behind millennials, have grown up with online advertising, and they are not insanely perceptive to transactional advertisements, which means you have to be able to offer them something of value in order to get them to come into your site and actually trust your brand. So we'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. All of this to say, there is no real silver bullet to succeeding, except that I'm going to show you 5 things that I think can really, really help you, all of them helping one another. So there is no silver bullet, but you're in the right place. All right, so I was introduced a little bit earlier, but let me give you a little bit more background on me, which I find is really helpful for folks, because why should you trust me, right? Who is this person speaking? So beyond being over here at BigCommerce for the past 4 years, where I have run our content strategy, I've also done consulting for some of our larger brands. But before that, I've been in the retail and e-commerce industry for about 10 years, so gosh, about a decade, which is crazy to think about and say. But I began at a company called Naturally Curly, which is based in Austin, Texas. They're a content and commerce brand where they publish, they're a publisher of content and then push people back to their product. So worked there in the early days of the company, helped them get to $1 million in annual revenue, went from there to working over at Elle Magazine, where I was reporting on the industry, and then moved over to a company called Shoptiques, which is a boutique marketplace. They had just come out of Y Combinator, and that was back in the days before platforms like BigCommerce, where the technology was already built out for you, so they had a completely custom cart. So I very much understand the frustrations and insanity that comes along with that. And then moved over to Mashable, where I was also reporting on retail, and from there over here to BigCommerce. Now, beyond all of that, I am also a co-owner in my family's manufacturing company. So we manufacture pillows and cotton. It was started back in 1956 by my grandfather. It remains a family-owned company today, third generation. We sell primarily to luxury hotel chains as well as interior designers throughout the South. So this goes much further than a career path for me. This is also very, very much personal in terms of what actually works, what helps our business get off the ground, and what insights can I then hand off to the industry that help others. Okay, I have this quote on here, and I apologize because I do not have a who said it, but that's because I said it, and nobody ever just wants to quote themselves. But here's I wouldn't even say my thesis. In my opinion, this is just true, which is shopping is no longer a simple transactional activity done at a single destination. It is instead an emotional response to thoughtfully crafted, engaging, brand-defining experiences that spark a positive customer response as well as a positive customer experience. That might sound really, really frightening because you are probably selling a product and you want to get that product just in somebody's hand without it necessarily giving someone an emotional feel. But to that, I want to, I guess, counteract with a story, which is I use a Mac computer. I'm an iPhone user, and not too long ago, I walked into a phone shop and held up a phone that was not an iPhone, and it was beautiful. The screens on it got like beyond what Apple's do, right? So it goes like over the edge. You can toss it on the ground. It's not going to break. It's already waterproof. And on top of all of that, on top of it being this beautiful, very easy to use, amazing looking phone, they're offering me 50% off on buying it. And even more than that, they were going to let me walk out of the store that day with it for free. And yes, I felt so dirty standing there with this phone in my hand that was not the phone or the brand that I was so used to. I felt like I was cheating on Apple, right? There's no good reason for me to go buy the product from Apple, not with all of that incentive. But Apple has done a fantastic job, as we all know, at building out an emotional response to their brand. That is what you also need to do, and I promise it's not as hard as you think. You're going to get the foundations on how to do that right now. Cool. 3 key takeaways that you're going to get at the end of this. First, you're going to gain knowledge about current trends in the market. We've already been talking about a lot of them, which is millennials and Gen Z. Millennials right now, the largest spending group, they do not care about transactional advertising. So how do you transition what you do in order to get them to buy from you? We're going to look at quite a few real-world brands to reference what they are doing, give you some insight again on the industry, but also give you websites that you can go look at and browse around and say, okay, I understand, I see what I need to do. And then you're going to also learn how to add all of these to your own strategy, which is very helpful. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about how you build your trust funnel. First step, or really the overall step, is you need to help people, not sell to people. This goes back to the older transactional ads out there, right? So I actually think I was reading an article this morning that said some of the most effective or the most effective Facebook ads out there right now are not the Facebook ads that you are sending out to lookalike audiences. They're not the Facebook ads that you're sending out there to people who might be kind of interested in your product. I mean, at that point in time, you were serving cold audiences. The ones that are most effective are the ones that are retargeting people who have come to your website, likely on a blog page or some type of content page, and then you're retargeting them with something that was relevant to that article back to your site to buy. That is the stuff that the agencies out there are seeing is working incredibly well. And if you do not have a blog, if you are not offering free value, if you aren't able to drive traffic without those ads, then there's no way you're going to get those retargeting ads to work, right? First, you have to be able to get that traffic, which means first you have to go out there and build that value and that trust. So transactional ads can work, but they work after you've offered value, after you've built trust. So content and commerce are no longer separate destinations. Your e-commerce website also needs to be a content website. This is how you build trust. This is how you tell your brand story. This is how you tell your product story. Why should anybody come buy from you? seriously, I mean, Amazon has cheaper products, and they're probably going to get it to you faster, and there's tons of reviews there. What makes you different? Do you have a personal family story like my family does? Grandfather started the business in 1956, and so there's a fun story to tell there. Have you really thought about the product in a really interesting way? Explain that to people, right? Or if none of those things are true, if you're like, Tracy, I am just trying to sell this product out there, I don't know what the exact backstory is, we don't really have a brand North Star, then figure out how to help people solve a problem with your product. With your product, what is it that someone could do that they could not do without it? Publish content around that. You need to help people, not sell to people, and then ultimately retarget them back with the transactional ads. Again, this is most effective for millennials as well as Gen Z. But millennials, as I mentioned earlier, are the most important right now just because they're the largest group, or the largest group with the most money. They do not like transactional ads. They need the story. They need the social proof. They need the reasoning why. They understand Amazon incredibly well, as we all do, but they use Amazon regularly. I think the numbers right now are 50% of Americans begin their product search on Amazon. That means 50% begin over likely on Google. How do you capture those folks that are going over to Amazon regularly, right? How do you make sure that you are offering a really competitive offer and convincing them of a really good reason to come to you over the convenience and over the cost savings that Amazon might offer? And then finally, educate first and sell second. Again, what problem is it that your product will solve for somebody? How will you make their life better as a result? Now, don't just like go out there and write a post that's like, with our product, your life will be better, right? Instead, you need to build something around how can my product ultimately help you live a better, happier, more idealistic life. Build out that picture for somebody. This is where social proof can help. Cool. Brands doing it extremely well. Uncrate here is the leading buyer's guide for men. They have covered more than 9,000 products. They have 1.5 million monthly readers, and they are widely known for digging up the best of men's products and then actually selling those products. Brands pay a lot of money to try to get their products reviewed by Uncrate, and that's because getting your product on there and reviewed incredibly well by them gets you a ton of sales. So if you're looking for a way to go through and educate people on why they should buy your products, Uncrate is a really great example. Gear Patrol over here, they are pioneers in what is called product journalism. They're a print and digital publisher. They also have a store and content studio. They were even recently acquired by First Magazine. Go check out their site, see what they're doing in terms of being able to review products and push a bunch of people over. And then Yeti, of course. Yeti is a brand that's very near and dear to us here in Austin, which is where BigCommerce is headquartered, but they also produce an insane amount of content that ultimately helps to sell really just a small amount of products. They don't sell all that much by any means. Cap real quick, educate and build trust before selling. Stop advertising products, because you do want to advertise with retargeting, and then build trust through content and experiences. Cool. Number 2 is gratification, instant or otherwise. You know this to be true. Everybody wants whatever it is that you are selling right now. You know this to be true yourself when you buy products online. You want them to come to you as quickly as possible. Shopper expectations have been set by Amazon by and large. The post-sale is incredibly important, and you need to make sure that you're not hiding anything. What I mean by all of this, though, is that Amazon has figured out how to do convenience and speed really, really well. But that doesn't mean that that's what your brand has to do. Instead, you can offer a story, offer a better packaging experience, and just be really honest and upfront about exactly what it is that you're selling, and when it's going to get to somebody, what the returns process might be like, all of that jazz. Make sure that you are honest and upfront about exactly what it is that you are the best at. But let's look at a few examples in order to really see that come to life. So Dazity over here, they sell foosball tables and ping pong tables. And when you check out with them, clearly with a foosball table or ping pong table, they have to use freight. It can't get to you in 2 days or less. So instead, they allow you to choose options for if you want them to come in and help you set up the table, or if it's around the holidays, if you need to schedule like a incognito Santa kind of thing and make sure that you're hiding it from the kids, right? So Dazzy is a brand that's all about the fun and making sure that families are able to play games together. You can't do that if you ruin a surprise, and so their shipping policy really helps to push that forward. Jenny's Ice Cream ships ice cream across the country, which is just amazing. They use dry ice to do it, so the unboxing experience is really fantastic. And then Robert Graham over here, they use some really, really fantastic packaging experiences. Their shirts are really, really beautiful, and you'll see that same print on the packaging as well, which really, again, just goes to drive home the quality of the product. None of these brands do 2-day shipping. It all takes longer, but it's worth the product once you actually get it. Cool. Trend 2 recap: meet or beat shopper expectations, brand your post-sale experience, and be honest and reachable. Number 3, let's get smarter about channels. The race is on right now between Google and Facebook and Amazon and Walmart even in terms of who's going to collect the most data, who's going to be the platform that consumers like to use the most, and as a result, who is going to get the most money from investors or from Wall Street. While all of that might sound, like that's Amazon's business or Facebook's business, it benefits you because all of these companies are putting extra money into new initiatives that compete directly with the other ones. And if you can either be on a platform and or have the relationships with those organizations to get in first in line on some of those new products, then you have the opportunity to make sure that your products are shown up higher than other people. So a really great example of this is Facebook Marketplace. They launched it this past summer. They wanted to be a competitor with Amazon. None of us are here to judge exactly how that is going to work. But it would behoove you, right, knowing that they've launched this, knowing that that is their goal, and knowing that they are putting additional money behind that to get your products into Facebook Marketplace, because it's no additional cost for you. But they are going to be working really hard to get that in front of additional Facebook users. If Facebook is a popular channel for you, likely a place that you want to get your products in because they're already spending the money for you. Cool. Few brands that do this incredibly well. Spearmint Love has really figured out Facebook advertising incredibly well. Now, they did this a couple years ago, figured out that cohort marketing was the best way to do it. As a result, though, they have seen an incredible return from Facebook ads and Instagram ads, so much so that Facebook and Instagram both did case studies on them, and they've been able to join the Facebook advisory board, where today they are able to tell Facebook exactly what it is that they want in a platform. All of that came from spending enough time on figuring out exactly how to use something incredibly well. Native Union over here was one of the first brands to start using Instagram shopping, and as a result drove more than 2,000 increased visits to their site through their Instagram audience. No, not 2,000 more visits, 2,000% more visits, which is really, really incredible. Again, it pays to be first. And then BHRC over here, they are a brand that has a brick and mortar store as well as an online store. More recently, they've launched on Amazon and eBay as well, really to just expand their offering. So they were one of the first brands to kind of take their entire business omni-channel and have seen a huge return on investment from that. Definitely don't fear Amazon. Make sure that you are getting into Prime, that you are using FBA, that you are using Amazon ads, and you can even use Amazon Pay on your own website as well. Utilize Facebook Marketplace and shopping on Instagram, and make sure that you are optimizing for Google Shopping. Again, all of these guys are competing with one another. You need to make sure that you're optimized across all of them so that as one or two of them win, your brand is also winning there. Offering an experience-driven site, essentially. So what that means, and we talked a little bit about this earlier with Apple, is that you need to make shoppers feel something. And to do that, you need to actually build an experience-rich website, and personalization is really, really key here. Let's drive all of this home with the examples that we have. Skull Candy over here. Skull Candy has, gosh, it was 7 last time I checked. I think it might be up to 11 now, but 11, let's say it's that, international sites. Each one of them particularly localized to the region that it is in, and that's because they know and understand that every country's demographic, as well as their understanding of what it is that they want from an online store, is vastly different. You can't just go through and change your English into Spanish. No, you need really great Spanish copywriters who can also sell to those particular audiences. So they've updated all of their product copy in that way. They have also updated all of their imagery in that way to really show people or to merchandise effectively for those local areas. Zinni Optical over here is a super fun tool where you can, or has a super fun tool where you can hop on there and try on the glasses, which is really fantastic. And then Bohemian Traders, they use a tool within BigCommerce actually called Customer Groups in order to reward their VIP customers. So their VIP customers can essentially come to the website, or they'll send an email out to them. They can log in, and then they can see all of Bohemian Traders' next season's line and purchase it before anybody else can. So it's a really cool way to offer their most loyal customers, first access. It also lets Bohemian Traders know exactly what products are likely going to be selling the best, maybe what other products they should drop, so on and so forth, so that they can make sure that their inventory and fulfillment is working effectively. So recap here. Personalize by cohort, make browsing enjoyable, and reward your best customers. All right, now guys, mobile. It seems like we talk about mobile all the time, but it is incredibly important. And why is because beginning this past July, Google did a speed update, which now means how quickly your mobile site loads on mobile will directly affect not only your mobile search rankings, but also your desktop search rankings. Site speed matters so much to Google, so much so that they have made that happen. The reason it matters so much to Google, though, is because it matters a lot to consumers. So say your site is optimized for speed. Now that the visitors are there, now what, right? On mobile, you need to ultimately reduce the clicks to checkout as much as you possibly can. A lot of folks are doing this by having their home page also be a checkout page, or having their product page also be a checkout page. Again, think about it in terms of, I want less clicks, I don't need to send someone to a cart. I just need to get them to insert their payment information, and then make their exit as fast as their entrance in a good way. That means do not force them to insert their credit card information. Use digital wallets. I mentioned Amazon Pay earlier. There's also Apple Pay, PayPal, One Touch, a lot of really great options. Cool. Brands doing this really well to go check out. Raleigh Nation has optimized their product pages. This is actually a really good example for anyone with a larger catalog, because the other two examples are very small catalogs. But Raleigh Nation has optimized their product pages to essentially serve as essentially 2 clicks to checkout, which would be adding it to the cart and then clicking like an Apple Pay button, right? NATO Mounts and Zippa are both doing very, very similar things in which their home page is their checkout page. Now, for both of them, they might only sell 1 or 2 products, so it's a lot easier for them to do something like that. So those are really great examples in the case that you don't have a whole lot of SKUs. And if you do have a lot of SKUs, then Raleigh Nation is likely your best bet. Cool. Recap here, optimize your site speed. You can do that by using AMP as well as Akamai, which is an image optimizer for specific devices. Make sure that you're simplifying your site navigation and your checkout, and then incorporate appropriate mobile wallets so that people can check out really, really quickly. Awesome. That is about it for me. If you have any other additional questions, you can head on over to bigcommerce.com or bigcommerce.com/blog, which is where a bunch of my stuff lives. You can also find me on Twitter at TraceWall, TraceWall.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Tracy. That was really some fantastic material. We have gotten some questions in from the audience, and I want to see if you have some time to answer those. One of them is about, it says you mentioned personalizing the shopping experience. Are there specific tools or apps you recommend for doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned earlier, using a tool like customer groups is really, really helpful. So platforms like BigCommerce often have that kind of stuff built in, though I know there are a bunch of apps out there that can also help you implement that. I apologize that I don't know the exact name of those, but go ahead and Google customer groups. Essentially what that will allow you to do is as customers come into your site, you can set up rules for if somebody surpasses maybe buying $150, they end up in a certain customer group. Maybe you have a wholesale customer group or a specific B2B customer group, a VIP customer group. Maybe you have people who only buy when you have items on sale. Fantastic. If you need to get items off of your shelves, that's probably a really great audience to go ahead and message without showing the rest of your site those really, really low prices if that's something that's really important for you. So customer groups is really my best answer there.
Okay, great. Thank you. We've got another question. Someone says, I've been looking at the BigCommerce WordPress offering. What is the main benefit to going with you versus keeping my system separate?
Yeah, so the BigCommerce WordPress offering is essentially a plugin for WordPress. Now, the reason you'd use WordPress over, say, the BigCommerce presentation layer, which is essentially that front end, is WordPress is incredible at content management. I mean, that is what the platform was built for. Throughout the whole presentation, I know you probably heard me mention content again and again and again. A lot of brands out there are choosing to use WordPress as that content management system in order to really bring an incredible experience to their consumers. And then they'd use a back end or an app like BigCommerce to allow them to check out in a way that has, fraud detection built in, PCI compliance built in, all of that without actually slowing down your WordPress instance, which can be quite a problem for quite a few other apps that are out there.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm happy you're talking about content since I'm part of a content producing company, so I'm very happy to hear about that. Let's see, here's another question. Well, I hope so. Let's see, any tips or tricks for better SEO rankings on our existing blog? So this is someone that's already working with content or providing content.
Yeah, man, there's so many SEO tips out there. I think the number one piece of advice I give to folks that is often very surprising to them and completely free, so that's fun, is as you are looking for keywords to target, go ahead and just Google what that keyword is, and Google is going to show you and tell you exactly what to write on. So look specifically at the featured snippets that Google brings up, as well as the also search for results that are down at the bottom, and any blog post content or longer form content that you are building out on that specific keyword, be sure that you include that snippet information as well as those additional search terms, if they're relevant to you, as H2s or H3s within your content. You will be very, very surprised how quickly that helps you rank. And then clearly you need to answer those questions and provide the right content in those sections as well. But Google's bots really, really do look for structure within posts, and so marking something as an H2 or an H3 will show that it's an important topic within the post, and you are using exactly what Google is recommending for that specific keyword. That's really going to help you get up there. Great
tip. Okay. We've got I think this is we only have time for this last question, but it's, is responsive design the same as designing mobile first?
Not technically, no. So responsive design often means that you are designing first for desktop, and then you are saying, okay, now if someone's on a tablet or someone's on a mobile device, how does that look and how does that respond, right? How does the website shrink down for those audiences? Building a website mobile first is more like what NATO Mouse or Zippa have done, in which they say, you know what, we're going to think about desktop later. I want a site designed for the mobile experience. And then let's think about how that expands into desktop. So you can often see these sites online really well. Most sites that have only a single column, even on desktop, they're pretty much a single column website. Most of those have likely been designed for mobile first, whereas when you see a 2-column website, most of those have been designed for desktop first.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. All right, well, I'm out of time for today, but if you didn't get an answer to the question that you typed in, Tracy will be able to follow up after the presentation takes place. Please join us for our next webinar, which is titled Holiday Predictions, What to Expect Based on Data from 500 Million Shoppers. That actually kicks off at 2 p.m. Eastern Time today. Thanks again to Tracy, and thank you to all of our attendees, and enjoy the rest of your day.